What represents India better than its history of craftsmanship, where each pattern, each stitch, each motif tells us a story? These designs represent a slice of Indian history and heritage, weaved together after painstaking research and travel, inspired by traditions in different corners of India. Designer Anju Modi is known as India's crafts revivalist, and rightfully so. She has travelled across 24 states, studied traditional handloom and craftsmanship, and brought our forgotten shared history to mainstream fashion. In India's glitzy fashion circles, Anju Modi is perhaps one of the last remaining traditionalists.
The work by hand is so very, I would say, meditative and spiritual in its overall approach. So it kind of, brings the peace and the spirituality and the love around. So everything goes in a very philosophical way. I take it from that. And the nature is so much prominent in our country, in every village, every region, whether it's desert or the, the jungle and the forest feel of the Manipur and Assam or the Ganges. So all these factors of our country plays a big role in our textiles, in our culture, and that's what is making it timeless.
At the recently concluded India Couture Week, Anju Modi added the magic of travel to couture. Her collection, The Road Less Travelled, celebrated India's rich cultural history. Actor Aditi Rao Hydari was the showstopper, but what attracted global attention were the traditional weaves. Her travel across India has served as inspiration for her intricate designs, with nearly 3 decades of experience in Indian fashion. So what have been her big learnings? Let's ask her.
Culture of the country, of the regions, and of course while you are living with them, you are having their food, interacting with them, understanding why they are weaving certain motifs, what is the meaning behind those motifs and everything. So you absorb the culture of the country very deeply, and I think that's where my all design ideas are coming from. And well, I would say they are my teachers, really, the craftsmen.
Anju Modi is famous for designing costumes for big Bollywood productions like Ram Leela and Baji Rao Mastani. She says she has worked closely with director Sanjay Leela Bhansali to bring his vision of grandeur and opulence to life.
I went to Bhuj, Mundra, Mandvi in Gujarat, to the Kutch region, and understood the kind of work which they do, and to get the work done from those many artisans over there. So that requires a lot of patience, and in the heat of the desert area, that was another, trying times. But at the same time, it was very, very satisfying, where I went to the Maharashtra, Pune, Nasik, all those remote areas, to learn the way they wear Nawari saris, or the way the Marathas wear the dhotis, which is very different. And what Ranveer Singh was wearing the dhoti was the Peshwa's way of wearing a dhoti, so which we learned over there.
The contribution of Indian artisans to the craft behind couture is undeniable. With Indian fashion now making global strides, is the world finally waking up to Indian craftsmanship?
Sadly, it's not really recognized so much as of now. Though a lot many design houses are getting their work done over here with the artisans, whether it's Dior or any big fashion houses. But that is where I think our responsibility comes, where we need to portray the design of our country, the craftsmanship, the knowledge, the aesthetics, the deep meaning behind each and every traditional designs. So those kind of ideas we designers are now using in our garments, which are becoming very global. So it is going to get its dues in the near future, I believe so.
Anju's desire to revive forgotten crafts has molded much of her design sensibilities. From the zari work of Varanasi to the bandhani of Gujarat, all are an integral part of her storytelling.
When I started visiting the places, so I saw very old antique pieces lying around, and those were very beautiful, perfect designs. And I said, well, why don't you make now the same kind of zari, the real zari, which is very thin and very intricately woven in the fabric, or the bandhani, which is very old and very fine, those danas. So they said, well, we don't get the buyers for it. So I said, well, you make it for me, I will make it, I will sell it, and then the more you create the market, the more work they get and their economic situation becomes better. So that's how I revived it. But I would say we all designers are actually are the people who are also getting benefited from their knowledge, their craftsmanship.
As we celebrate 75 years of independence, it is perhaps a time to reflect on what we may lose in our race to adapt to trends. Indian craftsmanship is another example of India's soft power, but only if it is cherished and celebrated.
Father of the nation, Gandhi. So Gandhi ji had introduced khadi because it is hand woven, handmade, and so every household is going to be self-dependent. They are not going to depend on the British Raj clothing. So that was one of the movement. And then to make the khadi a center stage of the fashion and the glamorous world also is also a huge contribution of the country and the designers all together. And the Independence Day is kind of a reminder for that.